Joining me today, I have the president of Canadian Mennonite University, Cheryl Pauls, joining us. She's going to be one of the speakers, I believe, at an upcoming event, which we're going to hear more about. It's called Social Media Disinformation: How to Prevent, Identify, and Combat. Cheryl, thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure.
So, I would love for you to start off by just telling us a few more details of this event.
Sure. So the event called Social Media Disinformation is an event that is of Massey College from University of Toronto, and it is kind of like Massey College on the road. And so they approached us through a common friend, and I'll get to that in a minute, and gave us opportunity to share this event and to have a time of panel and some incredible leaders in the field to speak together, learn together, and find ways of being hopeful and inventing new ways forward together. So the event is part of Massey College's public policy and ethics series. And so they do, I think, 6 events a year, both in person and online, and are also looking now to do these kind of things on the road. And in a way, it grows out of CMU's face-to-face series, as well as CMU's long-term connection to peace building and to media being things that should be talked about in the same sentence. And so that's the work. So the idea here is to understand what is going on with disinformation and ways to address that concern. It is also here to grow the desire for a common love of what is true, of truth telling, of trustworthy speech, and trustworthy speech as a way of living and a way of doing professional media. So it's both a way of living in everyday lives, of ways that people interact with their own personal social media, and ways that our professional organizations are able to tell truth together and to desire a social contract, what we often call a common good, or in Tennyson's words, the common love of good, and have a sense that across significant divergence of convictions and so on, people continue to desire what is lovely and true, to quote Philippians 4, right? The sense of what is true and what is lovely and what is beautiful being something that comes together and that is trustworthy as you work across difference.
That sounds incredible. If people are interested in attending, what day is it, time? How can they register? That kind of thing.
Sure. So this is on Thursday, May 1st. Yes, we're hitting May this week. And there are 2 ways to attend. One is in person, and the second one is to watch the live streaming part of online. So I think you can probably put up details on the screen when this goes, but through the Massey College website, through the CMU website, it's available in both places to attend and to be part of this. And it's for the morning on May 1st. So starting about 9 o'clock is when these sessions will begin, or just before 9, 8:50 probably, as far as getting going with some of the activities that way, and until about noon.
Nice.
And so with that, we've got these incredible people who will be part of it. The Honorable Minister of Justice, Matt Wiebe, will be speaking early in the morning, so you want to make sure that you hear that part of it. And also Tom Axworthy of Massey College is the person who is facilitating the day and has a great deal of experience in this area. And then a highlight is Heidi Twarek, who will be joining us in Zoom, who works with the Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions at the University of British Columbia. And then several other really key leaders from Manitoba: Rochelle Squires, the CEO of Center Venture; Paul Thomas, a well-known writer and professor emeritus in political studies from University of Manitoba; Hazel Boris, who is well known for her work in Winnipeg with planning, property, and development. And so some real highlights of people coming together.
You're going to also be speaking, I take it?
Well, I'm giving a bit of a welcome and a sense of why CMU would be part of what this work is, and maybe highlighting two things. One is how CMU got involved in this with someone named Bob Haverluck, or who I will call the Reverend Dr. Bob Haverluck, who has pursued a lifetime vocation of peace building, of theology, of comedy, and of good social change and agency, as much through the easel. He's an incredible artist and who always is making a commentary on things, often bringing in biblical stories by finding the the laughter, by finding the play, by finding the place to grow your desire for what is full of peace, for what is full of a radical grace, for what finds a way forward in places that are people are otherwise stuck. And so this past weekend, CMU awarded Bob Haverluck the PAX Award at its convocation, and he was an incredible convocation speaker, bringing the best of his capacity to find desire and fine craft and artistry in how you tell the story and how you sustain, as he has done over generations, the work of peace building. And so Bob Haverluck, I'll give some introduction to him and the work that he's done that way. And then I would say for CMU, we have long-standing work in peace building as a central piece of what it is to be followers of Jesus and to give real agency on the ground. Now, Anabaptist Mennonites sometimes get a little earnest and get a little serious in their thoughtfulness. And Bob has been a great friend in bringing some lightness into really serious work for us. And in doing this with CMU over the years, and in many ways connected with Golden West, has moved closer, or for 20 years, into communications and media, and to bringing peace building into communications and media. And peace building isn't just nice words. It is a way of living that is about the well-being of all. And it is about a deep desire for friendship and connection across all sectors of society, whether that's business, agriculture, whether that's in the social sector, whether that is in education, and so on, bringing all of these and many other areas together.
This is a 3-hour event. Who is it for? Who can attend? And what can they expect? Kind of in a nutshell.
Sure. So, you know what? It kind of is for everyone. It is for those who are leading organizations. It is for those who are trying to find their way through what is true and what is not true. And that is for people in their personal lives as much as it is for people who are trying to work within all kinds of organizations, trying to speak across organizations. So really, it is for everyone. But I would say that it is intended here in some ways to bring leaders across government and civil society together to be able to talk together in how they are finding truth in justice, so that's why the Minister of Justice is there, but also true in how we actually work at all the institutions of society, whether that be law, whether that be the media, whether that be government, whether that be higher education, whether that be kindergarten, whether that be in church, whether that be across businesses. So really it is across all sectors that people ought to be interested, and ought to means, what I mean by that is that there is something here that I think a highly diverse audience will be able to relate to and find their voice within.
I hope you don't mind me asking this question. It's kind
Sure.
of specific, but the
Mhm.
idea of social media and disinformation,
Mhm.
is there an aspect of the talk that's going to be happening that addresses being able to disagree with somebody and properly talk through these things rather than just this idea of cancel culture and where we've kind of lost this ability to say, hey, I see you as a person, I still respect you, and we can have a conversation rather than just me going, X next, that kind of thing.
That's absolutely the intent of this. So, the intent of this gathering is to actually be able to have true conversations. And true conversations means seeing another person, listening for what they bring, and having as much respect for where you disagree as where you agree. And so, we have in our society, we've kind of at times put absolute values around the words unity or diversity. And as if they have just these fixed meanings. But when you have a sense that unity doesn't mean sameness, it means bothering to take the time to listen, to eat with, to enjoy, to laugh with people with whom you diverge, people with whom you disagree, and to find what needs to be challenged in my own way of thinking. Where am I actually convinced in what I think, but I actually understand and respect and have empathy for a point of view and where a person is coming from who diverges from where I'm starting. Diversity is not about yay, 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 we're different and yet we have a sense of, there's just one thing in common. Rather, diversity needs to mean that where there is divergence, that there is understanding and empathy and a sense of productive tension that happens across that divergence rather than negative tension, which is a sense of phase cancellation of just there being no space to listen for another. And so restoring a sense that unity and diversity are kind of like magnetic poles that need to stay in a productive tension. If they're in a negative tension, they just flop. But the possibility of a social contract and the well-being of all in our society means that we actually have a productive tension, and learning what productive tension means, that will be a part of this. And productive tension means you actually trust someone else to be telling the truth, and
Mm.
you find ways to understand their words as trustworthy, rather than, or especially when you disagree. And then actually finding better ways of working together by letting differences be in the same space and rub off on each other in some way. So
Thank you.
yes, absolutely, that's the intent and that's the work that needs to happen. So thanks for asking the question.
Absolutely. It was actually only a few years ago that I found out the word university started as unity in diversity. Mind blown. I love it. I
Hey,
love
there
it.
you go. And that's a tall order to
Yes.
live up to
Yeah.
in over time. And really, it needs to be both ways, right? Unity and diversity and unity. And
Mm,
as long as you keep working at it in both ways without there being one simple way of defining what that means,
mm. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so you need that tension for these things to actually last over time and have some real meaning.
Yeah. We are going to let everybody know about this event where they can register for it, that it is also free. And I really appreciate you explaining some more and sharing your heart today.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's just a delight to be able to host this. And thanks to you for giving us time to spread this word a little bit more and grow the people, or grow the range of people who care collectively about unity and diversity in unity.